So today I'd like to talk about the annual recycling day poster that was provided for our final exam. When I look at the annual recycling day poster, I can see that there is some areas of contrast. It seems like there is some shadowing within the recycling day part that makes that stand out. In addition, there is some scale size which brings your eyes directly to the recycling icon in the middle of the page, as well as the words recycling day. However, I think more multimedia principles are broken than are adhered to. When I think about organic design, it's often referred to as being able to have visual unity because there's color schemes that integrate hues from embedded photo elements. Well, I don't see very many cues from the photo elements. What I see is different palettes of color that can be united better. One way to do this would be to pick some colors that are throughout. Perhaps you could choose the green from that recycling icon that stands out to the viewer. That green is in stark contrast with the white, as well as perhaps maybe a golden hue. In addition to this, another way that we could fix this is we could actually break this into a full screen image about recycling, and then we could separate it into 3 separate vertical pieces, and this will be more eye appealing to your viewer. One other thing that I've noticed is when we think about Malamed and what a designer should provide, they should provide an obvious path for the viewer's eyes to follow. This does not have that visual hierarchy, and you don't know where to look. It's hard to figure out that this is something that happens annually. So perhaps if we would change the font or the typeface and make the typeface be similar throughout as opposed to different, then we would have more continuity. When I think about the CRAP principles also suggest that we need things like proximity. Well, on this image, proximity is thrown out the window as things are placed randomly. In addition, we also can see that there is some basic building blocks of design that are not used appropriately. For example, there's no white space in this graphic, so there's no clarity, and it impacts the viewer by causing them to have cognitive overload. I think that we could direct our viewers' attention using the signaling principle if we signal out specific things, such as what can and cannot be recycled. Perhaps we can split screen it and on the left side have what can be recycled, on the right side what cannot be recycled, and in the center be the focal point of what this is talking about, our annual recycling day. We also need to eliminate seductive details like this pretty picture of the birds down to the bottom left. As Malamed said in the book, don't be a wimp. Don't be afraid to create your design or your life with plenty of blank space. It's rest for the eyes and the soul. So looking at this, I feel overloaded and I don't feel rested. My eyes get kind of fatigued. So instead, I would look for a repetition to repeatedly bring my eyes to one position, and that would be to the recycling day that I would have in the center, as well as keeping that big recycling icon in the center. Icons and symbols are simplified graphics that have very few details. But because it has few details, Malamed suggests that it is still recognizable. And it can also convey a wide variation of meanings with a minimalist format. Perhaps keeping it minimal would be better. This may also help improve the memory of a principle. Then we would also depict elements in here, such as the graphic in the middle with the 3 arrows, which people would obviously relate to recycling. It's got to support the learning process. We can also take out the background of the embedded check and X because that just simply throws us because the words do not stand out. Again, we want to keep it consistent and perhaps break it into 3 different elements. One other thing that I would do is I would make sure to position the text and the graphics so that they're aligned. I would make sure all the text is directly under each other, maybe touching on the right side on the right, the left side on the left, and centered in the middle. This way it allows my mind to flow and I can see that there's a selective hierarchy and I know which way to look in the page when I'm looking at this poster.